Good morning.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Oh, good morning. I'm sorry. Welcome back after a long 3-day holiday weekend. Madam Clerk, I call this meeting to order. Attorney Brown.
Good morning, Mayor and Commissioners. We will request a motion to go into an executive session for discussion of pending or potential litigation, real estate, and personnel.
So moved.
Second.
All right, Madam Clerk, there's a motion and a second. We're voting.
Mr. Lewis. Okay. I think they're, that motion carries with Ms. Pulliam out, Mr. Mason, Mr. Franham, and Ms. Scott.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We're now suspended to executive session. Thank you so much. All right, Madam Clerk, call this meeting back to order. Attorney Brown.
Thank you, Mayor Johnson. Commissioners, we will request a motion to execute the closed meeting affidavit.
So moved.
Second.
All right, there's been a motion and a second. Colleagues are voting.
You can push a button.
Yeah, I'm gonna push a button.
Tony's not here. Okay. That motion carries with Ms. Pulliam, Mr. Lewis, and Ms. Scott out.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Attorney Brown, are there any motions as a result of our executive session?
Yes, sir, there are, Mayor Johnson. We request a motion to accept the resignation of Deputy General Counsel Rachel Mack effective July 12th, 2024, and to approve 6-month severance pay by way of salary continuation upon the execution of a customary voluntary separation and release of claims agreement to be prepared by Augusta, Georgia Law Department and to be available for consultation purposes during the severance period.
So moved.
Second.
All right, there's a
Mayor.
motion and a second. Commissioner Franham?
Yeah, I mean, just to let IT know our screens aren't working up here, so we can't see. He can't see if there's anybody in the queue.
Yeah.
But just for clarity to the general public, because this goes out to the media every time about 6-month severance, Administrator Dowds, can you confirm that there are 17 employees left to
Yeah,
get the
okay,
6 months, only 17 employees?
That's correct, Commissioner. That was the information I received. However, I don't know if these two are part of that 17, but it's at or about 17 employees remaining.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. All right, Madam Clerk has a motion and a second. Commissioner Guilfoyle, are you still in the queue, sir? Are you good?
For Attorney Brown.
All right.
Attorney Brown, question. I see that we got 17 SES employees left in the this old phase of getting paid this check. And my question is, what would happen if the body said no?
I would rather discuss this in legal. However, I believe they would be in violation, a contract violation.
Thank you, Attorney Brown.
All right, Madam Clerk, seeing no other colleagues in the queue, we're voting.
That motion carries with Ms. Pulliam, Mr. Lewis, and Ms. Scott out.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Attorney Brown.
Thank you, Mayor Johnson. Mayor Johnson, we will also request a motion to accept the resignation of Tim Wegar, Deputy Director at the Airport, Director of Operations and Airport Security Coordinator, effective August 1, 2024, and to approve 6-month severance pay by way of salary continuation upon execution of the customary voluntary separation and release of claims agreement to be prepared by the Augusta, Georgia Law Department and to be available for consultation purposes during the severance period. And just one other matter, please. That is it.
Thank
So
you.
moved.
Second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, we're voting. I think he just, Commissioner Franham, you good? You, Mike, are you good? All right.
That motion carries with Ms. Pulliam, Mr. Lewis, and Ms. Scott out.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Yeah, he has. I think he has one more. 3 minutes. Attorney Brown, are any additional items?
No, sir.
All right, if that is it, Madam Clerk, this meeting is hereby adjourned and turned over to the committee cycle.
Yes, sir.
Thank you much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to call public services to order. Madam Clerk, is there any additions or deletions to the agenda?
No, sir.
Okay. If there's no questions from the committee, I'd like to consent agenda items number 2, 3, and 4.
2, 3, and 4.
Got a motion, can I get a second? Second. Got a motion and a second.
Was that Mr. Williams that made the motion?
And he seconded.
And Mr. Guilfoyle?
Yes, ma'am. Voting, please. Only 3 of us today.
You have a question, sir?
You have a question, Commissioner Guilfoyle?
Yes, do we have anybody here that, for these 3 items, or 2 items, 2 and 3 here to discuss?
Mr. Jackson, Charles Jackson? No, Charles.
No, the
you want
alcohol
me to
is
pull
still
them?
on. No, the alcohol is still on.
Yeah, we haven't gotten to one yet. Commissioner Guilfoyle,
Yes, yes, sir.
do you
Sorry.
want me to pull them?
No, I just had a question. If there was somebody here, if they needed to speak, I was going to ask you if you'd be kind enough to let them speak. That was the only reason, sir.
Yes.
Okay, we're good. Voting.
Okay, that motion carries with Ms. Pulliam out.
Agenda item number 1, please, Mr. Kepner.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. This is adding dance to an existing alcohol license. It's AN 24-26. The applicant is Miguel Chavez. As stated, they're wanting to add dance to their existing consumption on premise for liquor, beer, and wine for the business Loco Taco 2, located at 235 Boy Scout Road. Planning and Development and Sheriff's Department has approved, recommended approval. Are there any objectors?
None noted.
The applicant is here.
Please state your name and address, home address for the record, please, sir.
Yes, Miguel Chavez, 3419 Grayton Street, Evans, Georgia, 30809.
Thank you, sir. Got a motion, can I get a second, please? Second. Got a second from Commissioner 10. Voting, please.
That motion carries.
All right, and that concludes public services. Thank you, committee.
I'm going to call finance to order. However, we don't have a quorum to conduct business. So, Ms. Bonner, we'll just forward these to the full commission.
Yes, sir.
All right? That concludes finance.
2 p.m.
All right, get it.
Just wait on everything else.
Until 1:10. Yes, sir.
All right.
Are we ready? I'm ready. All right, good afternoon. I'd like to call public safety to order. Madam Clerk, do we have any additions or deletions?
Yes, ma'am. Item number 1. It will be rescheduled to our June 11th public safety meeting.
Okay, all right. And I'm going to be pulling, I'm going to be pulling item number 3. And, well, delete it. It's going to have to go before legal.
So we'll add that to your a consent agenda if you have one.
Sure. All right. If there are no questions from the committee, I'd like to consent items. Now, 1, it'll be moved. 2, 3 will be going to legal. 4, 5, and 6.
I guess I have a question I can ask it.
Okay. Go ahead.
Well, okay, you have a question, sir?
I have a question about number 5.
All right.
So we'll
do
take that out.
So we'll pull, we'll just consent the items 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6.
So moved.
Got a motion? How about a motion? and a
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Voting.
There's nobody here. Nobody here. Guess I should vote, huh?
Okay.
It's unanimous.
Okay. Commissioner from the 7th.
Item number 5, if I can announce
Yes,
it for
ma'am.
the record, is the motion to approve the acceptance of the third amendment for RMAC inmate food services.
All right. Commissioner Franham.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there anyone to speak on this issue here to represent anyone? Are you representing?
Commissioner, I can't speak at a
Okay.
limited capacity regarding
Okay.
this item.
Well, I noticed the increase, and I noticed that there's going to be a $267,000 increase to the budget moving forward, but and it's a 5-year deal. Well, what was not told to us is whether it's 267 next year, what is the next year, what is the next year, or is it 267 flat per year for the additional 5 years on the increase? And then it was never kind of stated either what it's going to based on the chart that was in the agenda item. So I just kind of get clarity on, that's a significant increase.
It is my understanding that, yes, this contract does increase. I'll be able to provide that information to you for next Tuesday, as well
Okay.
as have a representative here that can answer that question in depth.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I'm going to go to District 4, Commissioner Mason.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't have anything.
Okay.
I'd like to.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah, I'd like to move this item to next week's full agenda with no recommendation.
Okay.
You got a
All right.
second?
Got a motion second. Okay, motion second. Voting.
It's unanimous.
Okay.
That was for no recommendation, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. That completes public safety.
I have a point of clarity for the clerk or for our parliamentarian.
Yes.
Being that we now have quorum for finance, are we able to host that meeting? Or being that we've made the decision to move to next week's meeting, that's just final?
They will be forward with no recommendation.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes,
So,
sir.
But because we've already done that, we can't have our meeting today? Could we still
Do you
meet
have
now
a
that we have
quorum?
quorum? Yes, ma'am.
Oh, yeah. Once you attain a quorum, you just couldn't meet before the hour.
Right.
You can
Okay.
meet after the hour.
Okay, so we will meet last, after the last meeting here. We'll go
Okay.
back to finance?
Finance,
Okay.
yes, sir.
Thank you.
Scott, you ready? We're at the hour.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'd like to call Administrative Service Committee to order. Do we have any addition or deletion, Ms. Bonner?
No, ma'am.
If it's okay with the committee, I would like to consent 1, 2, 3, 4.
I'd like to pull agenda item 3. But so moved on 1, 2, and 4.
Voting, Ms. Bonner?
Yes, ma'am. It's unanimous.
Thank you.
Item-
Mr. Friend?
Okay, item number 3, a motion to approve the purchase of one 2024 Chevrolet Blazer electric vehicle at a total cost of $54,408 from Milton Rubin Chevrolet for the Tax Commissioner's Office.
Madam Chair, is there anyone that can speak to this agenda item that's here?
Commissioner, I'll be speaking at a limited capacity.
Okay. Is it standard that we're now going to be electric vehicles for departments, heads?
That is the goal, but no, it's not a standard. Based upon
Okay.
the needs of the department, will determine which vehicle, if an electric vehicle is available that would fit their needs.
Okay. Do we, when we put all of these basically into department names, does that mean eligible, like everyone within the department's eligible to drive this vehicle, or only certain individuals, or how does that work?
So Augusta's fleet policy requires only certain individuals that are able to drive. You have to have courses, you have to take the vehicle course through risk management before you're permitted to drive. But yes, other than that, if you take the course and if the department allows you to utilize the vehicle, then yes, you can utilize the vehicle.
But what about the people that already receive a stipend for a vehicle or their own personal vehicle?
Individuals that receive mileage should not be driving a county vehicle.
Have we researched all that in all the departments before? Do you know?
No, not to my knowledge, not under my tenure, no.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you. Motion to approve.
Second. Voting, Ms. Bonner?
Yes, ma'am. It's unanimous.
Madam Clerk, I think that's all for Administrative Service.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Finance, Whoa, we hear you. I ain't here hustling either. I'm not here hustling. I just heard you. I'm just telling you. That French you're using.
Yep.
Just count.
I know. I'm just looking at you for approval.
There you go.
All right, Madam Clerk, we're going to call Engineering Services to order. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda items, Madam Clerk?
No, sir.
Well, thank you. I would offer a consent agenda item for my colleagues, if they would, to consent agenda items 1 through 9 and agenda items 10 through 18. 1 through 9 and
9.
11 through 18. I'm sorry, 11 through 18.
11 through 18?
Yes.
Okay.
Is anybody?
So moved.
Second.
I got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Mr. Guilfoyle.
Mr. Chairman, I just have one simple question for item 15, if Mr. John could answer it.
Mr.
You want to pull it?
That'll be.
We'll pull 15 if that's
Okay.
if that's the
Thank you.
case.
And I'll repeat my motion to approve as stated,
Okay.
with 10 and 15 being pulled.
Okay.
What means 14 and 15? All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, commissioners vote by the usual sign.
It's unanimous.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. If we go to agenda item number 10, please.
Okay. Item number 10 is a motion to approve the administrator's recommendation to extend the residential solid waste and recyclable collection second transition agreement between Augusta, Georgia and Georgia Waste Systems, LLC from July 1st, 2024 to December 31st, 2025 for $21.86 per house per month.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. If I could have the engineering director, Malik, come up, please. Good afternoon, Director Malik.
Sir, good afternoon.
Oh, good. This agenda item, and we've had a number of discussions previously, can you just kind of tell us what your thought is moving forward as far as what you would like to see done with this agenda item and how it should be done, in your opinion?
Yes, sir. To move forward, I have a couple of recommendations for this body to consider, and that's will satisfy basically getting all three zone 1, 2, and 3 under contract starting next year.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of put it down in terms of motions, but let me read it. First recommendation is to terminate the bid, which is open right now, which is 23-112, because we needed to close that bid to move forward with the new process. Then the second part will be to end the Zone 2 and 3 contract on December 31st, 2024, this year. There is a clause in the contract or is a mutual agreement between the city and the coastal. And then the third will be to extend the transition we have for Zone 1 till June to December under the same term, so that we have continuity of the service while we're working through rebidding Zone 1, 2, and 3. And then the last one is to authorize to rebid Zone 1 and 2 and 3 by June 2024, by next month. I have the actual RFP ready as soon as I get okay from the commission, and then bring recommendation back to the this body not later than October 2024 with effective date January 1st, 2025.
All right, Dr. Malik. Commissioner Garrett, I see you in the queue.
Yes. So with all of that being said, could you read? Do you have that written that I could read this into the record as part of a motion?
Yes, sir. I got right here.
Will you hand that to Ms. Bonner, please? Or just, Ms. Bonner, can you repeat what he said?
And just for clarity, what Ms. Bonner's repeating is what you're going to put into a motion. Is that what I'm getting here?
Well, I'm assuming it's the same thing that I have in front of me. like to make a motion to approve and authorize, one, to deny award of RFP 23-112 Augusta Zone 1 Residential Waste and Recyclable Collection Service and rebid this zone. Two, effective 12/31/2024, terminate RFP 12-1112 Augusta Zone 2 and 3 Residential Waste and Recyclable Collection Service contract with Coastal Waste and Recycling under the contract clause section 16.1D. 3, extend Augusta 1 Residential Waste and Recyclable Collection Service current transition period agreement with Georgia Waste System, also known as Waste Management, until December 31st, 2024, with no change in current terms and conditions. And 4, Engineering and Environmental Services Department bid Augusta Zones 1, 2, and 3 Residential Waste and Recyclable Collection Service RFP by June 2024. Bring associated contract award recommendations to Augusta Commission by end of October 2024 for discussion and approval for a January 1, 2025 start date.
I'll second that.
So we have that in the form of a motion and a second. I see Commissioner Scott in the queue, please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, may I ask the procurement director to come forward? I need to ask her a question.
Director Sams, is she? There she is.
And
Thank you.
Ms. Sams, have you seen this, and have you and Dr. Malik met on what was just handed out?
Well, this is my first time seeing this. So,
How about interim administrator? Are you aware of this?
Yes, I am.
Okay, okay. And what's your thoughts on this?
Commissioner Scott, Dr. Malik's motion is a slight abbreviation from the motion I recommended in item number 10. It's just moving everything up essentially by 1 year. Right. My motion was to do exactly what this states, just everything would not have taken place until January of 2026. And by Augusta canceling the existing contracts for zones 2 and 3, it will essentially provide the exact same results, just do everything about a year faster.
Right.
Thank you.
Anything else? Oh, no, she's out.
And I think one caveat to Chairman is that not only does this allow it to be moved up 1 year, but it also allows all 3 zones to be bid out collectively. That way, you know, instead of having different zones with different rates, this would be the opportunity to have it even across the board, just as when it was first put into place numerous years ago.
All right, Commissioner. Oh, he left. Commissioner McKnight, you still in the queue, or did you have? Oh, no one's in the queue. All right, so we have a motion, and we had a second. Did you get that motion in second, Madam Clerk? Of course you did. And commissioners now vote by the usual sign. She's an expert at what she does.
Ms. McKnight?
Ms. McKnight?
We're voting.
The one that was just read, handed to us, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It's unanimous.
All right, thank you, Madam Clerk. Next item.
Okay.
Item 15.
Yeah, I'm looking for my agenda. Where did it go? We start. I may have passed it out.
I can.
Okay. Item number.
What's on?
Where are we? Okay.
It's on
Number
15. 15, yes, ma'am.
Approve the sole source purchase of the installation of the poles for streetlights to be placed along Windsor Spring between Meadowbrook Drive and Cross Creek Road.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Commissioner Guilfoyle, was that your pool?
Yes, sir, it was. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Simple question for Mr. John. I've spoken with you last year about there was numerous street lights out, the new extension of Winter Spring into Hetzibah, as well as the River Watch. Last year, there wasn't money in the budget to replace the street lights because you limited on your funding. Has any other funding been given to you this year to where we could get these street lights fixed before we start installing all these new ones?
Good afternoon, Commissioner, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. For item number 15 in particular, the funding for that for 14 and 15 was approved by this body in September of last year.
Right.
The amount of $600,000 was approved for this activity, and by the use of the solar lights, and then 15 in particular is the company that we're going to use to actually install the poles.
Right.
So once to buy the materials.
But I'm just tying the two together. If we're going to be putting up lights, have we found a funding source to fix the lights that's out on Riverwatch and Winter Spring Extension?
So the Riverwatch lights should have been repaired this year for Masters. We almost always
That's
get
right.
those.
You
get
said
those
that's
done.
the only time that y'all would basically.
The other one, not yet. Although there is going to be the reason I mentioned that this was approved for $600,000 is the amount of money between items 14 and 15 is going to cost approximately $300,000. So we have extra funding. Let me rephrase that. We may have extra funding out of the $600,000 that was approved for this activity. So the total cost is half of what is anticipated and what was approved. So that's definitely a discussion we can have. So yes, sir.
All right. Does your department have a list of what streetlights are out throughout their community? And kind of give us an example of what kind of funding is going to be needed, because we all pay for streetlights. Commercial pays more for streetlights, and there ain't nothing worse than paying for service that you're not receiving. So, if you could bring that forth, I don't think we need to put it on the agenda. You could just email it to
Yes,
the
sir. That's no
commissioners
problem.
and as well as the internal administrator, and we see if we can't find you funding for that somehow.
Yes, sir. That's fine. I can
Thank you,
do that.
Mr. John. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Motion to approve.
I got a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, commissioners will vote by the usual sign.
It's unanimous.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next item.
That's it.
All right. Having heard that, the Engineering Services Committee stands adjourned.
All right, we're going to go back to finance. So I call this meeting to order. Ms. Bonner, are there any additions or deletions from the agenda?
No, sir.
All right, hear none. I have a colleague in the queue, Commissioner Guilfoyle.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, I didn't know we was going to actually open finance back up. I told Brenda Durant that we pushed it forward to the committee without recommendation.
She's not on this committee.
Huh?
She's not on this one.
The art sculpture.
That's
That's public services.
Oh, okay.
all right. I will offer. Are there any? Do y'all want to offer a consent agenda? I'll offer item number 3 as consent. 2 and 3.
I have a question on 2.
Okay, so just item number 2 for consent. All right. Do we have a motion? Motion to approve. We're just considering 3. Only item 3 will be consented. All right. So there's a motion. Is there a second? I'll second. Okay. Voting, Ms. Bonner.
Okay. That motion carries with Ms. Pulliam absent.
All right. Item number 1.
Item number 1 is to present the 2025 budget planning calendar for approval.
All right. Director Williams.
Hi. The only change to this calendar from the one that was previously submitted is that we did determine the date for the budget retreat. I believe at the last meeting, the commission selected June the 17th for that date, and that has been incorporated into the schedule.
Okay. Any
good to go.
questions? Commissioner Franham.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
A couple things. I'm trying to pull up the calendar right now. First off, can we add some form of citizens engagement to this calendar in August, since we don't really have anything going on, or even July, end of July? Is that possible? Or are we not going to engage the citizens?
Commissioner, every year during Augusta on Display, we have a survey for citizens to complete with a QR code. They leave their feedback as well as rank their various departments based upon who they would like to receive funding. We can either expand that, or as you're suggesting, just tell us how you would like to incorporate citizen engagement.
I just think that we need to somehow engage them on the calendar. I don't know what that looks like. I'm kind of deferring to you on that. I don't know if it's a committee agenda item or the commission meeting agenda item and they come speak here in front of all of us, or what. But I just feel like there needs to be some form of citizens engagement on the calendar.
All of the commission work sessions, we can leave room for public citizen comment. So this year,
I mean, you're not even engaging the commission until September 16th. I'm talking about July and August, because I really don't understand why, because my next question is, why can't we push some of this stuff up into August? It looks like August, there's like nothing going on. Like, in my mind, the proposed budget ought to be submitted to us in September, not October, and just push everything up, because it seems like we always get pushed against the wall when it comes to the budget. And also, I'm just going to leave it at this, but I also believe that the department heads deserve the respect to know the budget before it comes before the commission, and meet with the department heads about what the administrator presents before it comes to the commission, to where we don't get sideswiped because they didn't know what was going to happen in their budget. So my thoughts are that we need to push the proposed agenda up to September in some manner, and that we need to add some citizen engagement. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other input? All right, so Ms. Williams, Director Williams, can you again give us that additional date so that we can add it into a motion?
It's been incorporated into the document in your book. The budget
17th?
retreat is June the 17th.
Okay.
Yes,
okay.
sir.
So there's no changes to this document other than the added 17 to the date?
That is the date that was added and
Okay.
selected.
All right, is there a motion to approve? There's a motion. Is there a second? There's a second. Voting. We just adopted the planning calendar.
That motion carries. It's unanimous.
All right, thank you. Item number 2.
Item 2 is a motion to approve engaging UHY Advisors Mid-Atlantic to conduct an audit of Parks and Recreation Department.
All right, Commissioner Guilfoyle.
Thank you. This is for, I guess, the procurement director, Ms. Sams, please.
Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Good afternoon, Ms. Director Sams. Ms. Sams, I had a gentleman reach out to me 2 weeks ago about requesting freedom of information on this one agenda item, and I understand OCGA that you could not respond in that aspect, but there was two other items which finally, with resistance, I finally got the information from Friday to Wednesday as far as when you was in class, as far as the documentation.
I beg your pardon?
On this item here for the audit, where I did the freedom of information request, I believe everybody was involved in that. Is that right?
You believe everybody was involved in exactly
As far as
what?
you, Donna, the attorney, and the interim administrator, as well as Alvin Mason.
Were involved in?
In an email. We're going to play this. We're going to play it right then.
No, sir, we're going to play it, and we're going to play it fair.
That's right. That's fine. Well, let's play it fair then, Ms. Sams. I received information from Director Williams as far as when you was in class, as far as the documentation. The other part of the question was, when will it be appropriate time for Commissioner Mason and myself to come and look at the document, since it cannot be shown publicly, and never did get a response on that. So again, I'm going to ask the question, can we come and look at the documentation as far as the timestamps on this UHY advisor company that came in afterwards, which we just want to inspect what we expect. So when would be a good time?
At the close of the actual bid, sir.
So you...
It is no different.
Commissioners cannot look at it?
Let me remind my colleague that once a question is asked of the director, to give her an opportunity to answer.
That's fine.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Sams?
The process is still an open process until this commission closes it. And to say that some of the commission can come and review information that's attached to an open process is the same as me releasing it publicly. So therefore, my answer to you right now, sir, would be that that would not be an appropriate approach to an open procurement.
Mr. Guilford, does that satisfy your questioning?
No, sir, it don't.
Okay, please proceed.
For us just to not take any documentation with us, Ms. Sams, what, as far as being elected officials, are you telling us that we cannot look at information because I guess it's privy?
Mr. Commissioner,
help me out with this.
Mr. Commissioner, is that not the same as me releasing the information? By law, I cannot find an exception to the open record documents as in accordance to Georgia state statute.
Okay, speaking of law, Mr. Chairman, can I ask Attorney Brown?
Please proceed.
Mr. Brown, is there a process available that commissioners could look at this procurement process without taking any kind of information? No different than our hiring of the administrator. We were not allowed to take out information out of the executive room, but we were allowed to look at it. But it was information that was given with hesitation, shall I say.
Yes, I understand, sir. I can see why it would not be clear or puzzling as the head of the government why you could not look at certain documents without taking them out. The difference is between recruitment of administrator, the administrator report directly to you as a body, the commission, so you are in the position the procurement director is in now. The procurement director can see the information. However, our code makes clear that the commission role in procurement begins when the recommended award by the committee is brought before the commission. The thing that the commission can do is vote it up or down. They cannot step back or come into the procurement, recruitment, and decision-making process in any other manner. That design is there to assure the public that the procurements and the processes are fair and even-handed and not subject to favoritism on the level of an elected official. I do agree with Ms. Sam that it would be improper for the commission now to go in and look at a timestamp of anyone's bid. However, that same information that you're seeking will be available to you after the process is completed. If there is something wrong or something that needs adjusting, at that point, then the commission could act.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. No further questions.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner from the 8th, Mayor Pro Tem Garrett.
Thank you, Chairman. I also have a couple questions for the procurement director, if that's okay.
Please.
Thank you. Ms. Sams, good to see you today. Back a couple weeks ago when we first saw this bid come to us, the documentation that was in our books ended up being changed on the floor to a new procurement that you wanted us to accept that was basically half the price of the one that you had originally submitted. And you stated that the office was closed when that bid came in, but you have a timestamp that showed that it did make it in under the specified time, correct?
Yes, the courier delivered it.
Okay, so I think that's kind of where my colleague from the 10th was trying to get to, is just like, where are these timestamps? What do they look like? I think that's what he was trying to ask. I don't want to speak for him, but at least when I was listening to his questioning. So I'm just kind of curious, you stated a couple weeks ago that your office was closed when this bid came in, correct?
The work hours, the courier brought the bid to the procurement department prior to the building being open, the procurement office being open. So the office.
That's not what you told us the day that we first looked at this. You told us that your office was
I
closed
never
because
said
you were
that
out
the
of town.
procurement office was closed, sir.
I'm pretty sure there was quite a few colleagues up here that heard.
They came when the office for the whole city, we don't start working till 8:30.
Yeah. But the question is, if your office wasn't open yet because the courier delivered it early, why wasn't that the bid that was presented in the agenda when it was given to us? Why was it changed on the floor? You changed the bid that you wanted us to approve on the floor 2 weeks ago.
The bid that the courier delivered to the procurement office on the day prior to the evaluations.
What date was that?
I don't have that before me.
And that's why we're asking for timestamps. We're just trying to put together what this actually looked like when it came into your office. That's all that we're trying to figure out, because it doesn't make sense. You're now saying that it came in early when 2 weeks ago you said your office was closed because you were at a training.
I don't believe I said it was. Can you repeat that, sir?
Ma'am, you stated that your office was closed when this bid came in because your office was closed because you were at a training.
It wasn't closed because I was at a training.
Okay.
It was not closed because I was at the training. My staff was there. They start working at 8:30, and the bid was delivered prior to the office being open.
Ms. Bonner, can we listen to the tape on this one? Because I'm looking around and we all heard the same thing, and I'm baffled at this one. We were told an office was closed. It came in after the fact, or because the office was closed. And there was also, I'm not
But
making
it was
up something
not
about you
closed
being
because I was in a training, sir.
You mentioned you were at a training.
I was at a training. But my staff
no further
was
questions.
here.
I just heard two different things.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Commissioner from the 7th, Commissioner
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think for me, I take this job very seriously, and the fact that we weren't called, notified, or told anything before the last 2 weeks ago, then a document's brought to us without the respect to call us or tell us about it before you got here, whoever's job that was, your job, whoever under you, whatever. But then you don't, then the bid is half of the other bid. So then, let it be. Then you're asking us as elected officials to approve something without proof of the situation at half the bid, when this is something that hasn't been done in this government in a very long time. And frankly, I'm not going to support it, because unless I see the documentation to prove the situation, because it doesn't smell right, to be frank with you. And so my question is, if we deny it, does it open the bid back up? Do we go to the second bid, or what happens?
Ms. Sams?
Mr. Chair, may I respond? May I respond?
He's just standing up. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I guess for me, I'm confused. And I am confused because you're saying that you don't trust a bid that was 50% lower than the other bid. Well, of course, the procurement department does not control the bottom lines of submittals coming to us. That's the first thing. The second thing, the procurement department did not know what that bottom line was. Third thing is that the evaluation committee met that Friday, and I don't know what the date of that was, that Friday. And when they met, they gave us their recommendation. So that was Saturday, Sunday. Monday, I wrote a letter and met with the administrator.
Who is the evaluation committee?
I beg your pardon?
Who is the evaluation committee?
The evaluation committee consists of the administrator, the finance department, and representatives from the procurement department.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you, that's disappointing. If they did meet, that nobody notified this governing body before Tuesday about a change. Because again, doesn't feel right sitting up here. Because I know in other departments, when they've had changes on the agenda, they have called us and said, look, this is coming. But yet, we got handed it to us here on the diocese.
But want us to make a decision.
And asking us to make a decision, I mean, it just doesn't feel right for me. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm done with this one.
Ms. Sims, were your statements concluded?
No, sir, it wasn't.
Please proceed if you would like.
So much,
Yes,
sir.
ma'am.
As it relates to the 50% difference, as I was stating, the procurement department did not know what that bid was going to be. But if I can state one more thing, there are things that need to be considered, like how many hours are the persons going to take that would have a lot to do with their bottom line. Also, you have to look at your timeline that you had given us, or your directive when you wanted this completed. All of that was taken in consideration by the evaluation committee. And I think, too, personal opinion only, not coming from the procurement department, but just coming from someone that don't understand why it would be that the city of Augusta would want to not accept a bid at 50% less than all the rest of them to give you your directive that you asked us to do. I would not be standing up here before you as procurement director if there was anything to prevent this bidder from being a part of the process. Now, I don't apologize for the actions that has been taken. I'm standing before you telling you that it was actions that can be supported by law. I have a letter from the first vendor that was on the agenda, said that he had watched the commission on the day that we allowed the other vendor submittal to come in, and he has no problem with it, and he understands. But however, if this commission doesn't, that's what we do, and that's in your authority.
Thank you, Ms. Sams. We're going to get our administrator in. Administrator Dowse.
One other question.
I'm going to go to our administrator first, and I'll come to you after that.
All right.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson. I just wanted to clarify that the deputy administrator sat in on this procurement, so I, as the interim administrator, did not. However, if it is the will of this body, I can now review this documentation and then present to you my recommendation, which will mirror most likely what has been presented, because I do understand that the courier could not even deliver the package on the day in which it was due because the marshal would not allow public entry.
Thank you, Ms. Dowse. Commissioner Garrett.
Thank you, Chairman. Ms. Bonner, could you send us the meeting minutes from this discussion back on, I believe it was May 14th is when this was first presented to us at that committee? I think so. I'm maybe a little wrong on that date, but whatever that Tuesday was. It seems right. Last week it got moved back to committee.
Should approve the award of this
We never
bid?
approved it. It got moved.
14.
It was the first time that we heard about it when it was changed on the floor. But yeah, if you could send us the minutes and possibly even the recording if we have it, because I'm hearing different things today than what we heard that date. Chairman, I have a question for Mr. Charles Jackson.
Please, Mr. Jackson.
Hey, sir.
Good afternoon,
Now
sir.
that we know that you were part of the committee that was listening to these bids, do you recall looking at this whole ordeal?
To my recollection, I was out of town the Friday that. Well, let me say this. I was out of town, but received a call that this issue had come up. So I did participate on the committee on that particular Friday. I think it was the Friday before Mother's Day.
Yeah.
So I did participate in that evaluation.
Okay. And so when the committee met, do you recall picking this lower bid, which of course is our standard? I mean, that's why we do bids. And do you recall it being 50% of the next qualified bid?
I recall participating in completing what we have in an Excel spreadsheet that we put our scores on.
Okay.
But in terms of the actual percentage of the bid that was 50%, I can't necessarily recall that.
Okay. Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner. Are there any other comments on this item? I'm 100% positive that we don't have enough votes to move this thing forward one way or the other. And so I'm going to just make the, recommendation to move this to full commission without a recommendation. Can we do that without objection, committee? Don't hear any objection.
Okay.
Are there any other items before the Finance Committee?
No, sir.
Hearing none, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.